Welcome to In the Lounge with Dre and V. I am your co-host, Queen V, and I have with me the delightful,
this chick is never wrong,
the silly dude they call Dre. What up, Dre?
What up, Queen V? What's the good word? How you doing today?
I'm all right.
Good. Today's episode, In the Lounge with Dre and V. How can I be a good wife when I wasn't trained to be? And this episode was sparked by Queen V and I listening to a interview with Reverend Ron and Tyrese. They were being an interview on the Breakfast Club, and he was saying some things that, you know, kind of opened up an ear. So we thought we would talk about it. We'll give you that clip before we proceed. But, you know, first, y'all know what it is. We got to hear Queen V's word on the street. Let's do it.
Place your ear to your speaker and get ready for Queen V's word on the street.
Ooh, I'm so excited.
And you know this.
So, word on the street is that Paula Payton has gotten a restraining order against Robin Thicke and that he is no longer allowed to see his son without supervision. That's insane.
Well, what he might have did something wrong.
Yeah, I mean, apparently, you know, I think that it stems from Robin Thicke spanking the child. I think that's what it's stemming from. But my thing is, like, sometimes children need to be disciplined, right?
Not ours, though. So any of you diapers workers or child protective service workers listening, we don't spank our kids. No.
But at that
we don't do that.
age,
We don't do that.
When they're younger and they're still learning and you're still developing, you know.
You mean like popping that
discipline,
hand?
Right.
Okay, I can see popping the hand, especially if it's like an electrical outlet.
Like, I don't think he did. I mean, I didn't see pictures. I wasn't there, but I seriously doubt he did anything to that boy to abuse him. We got to talk about that on the podcast one week about spanking, to spank or not to spank. And
good subject.
You know.
Good subject. We can do that.
But yeah, and apparently they went for the visit and Paula Payton just didn't show up, or she turned around or something. She claims that the son said that he didn't want to see his father and asked her to call the police.
The son, how old is the son?
He's young. And my thing is, like, why are you letting this child, why are you involving a child in your mess?
Mommy, call the police. Call the police.
So, I don't know. I got to do some more digging on that situation. Then I've heard about this whole Nick Cannon thing and him quitting America's Got Talent.
Why'd he do that? I read something about that. Why'd he do that?
So apparently, and I heard he was making millions of dollars for hosting this show, and he just walked away. Apparently, he got
Dave Chappelle'd him.
Yeah, right. And they trying to Dave Chappelle him because now they trying to act like he crazy. Why every time folks, you know, decide to step away from something that they don't feel is, you know, building them up, why we always got to be crazy? We always got to be crazy?
I think because people envy money and they think money is like the everything.
But
so
no, seriously, there
are
are like articles out there that people are worried about his mental state. You know, because he's walking around with them. He's cussing people out. He firing people. You know, he wearing them turbans on his head. So he going crazy. I mean, I find it interesting.
I didn't know all that. I didn't know all that.
But I don't think he's going crazy. I think he's just decided enough is enough. Basically what he said, because I follow him on Facebook, and basically what he said is that, you know, they pretty much are trying to tell him to apologize for something that he said off, not even with America's Got Talent. This was on his own, a joke that he made about black folk, I think. And they want him to apologize for it. And he's like, no. I ain't do anything wrong. Basically, I think they're saying that he kind of broke his contract because you're supposed to act a certain way and represent the brand at all times. And he's like, you know what? I can't be shucking and jiving for y'all no more. Deuces, I'm out.
Wow. That's
and
big.
Now that he ain't shucking and jiving and cooning, black man got to be crazy. Got to be crazy.
Why you always gotta bring a racial thing into this?
I'm just saying. He got to be crazy. People telling him he need to take some time off and just relax, and he just don't feel like being bothered no more. I mean, that's a lot of money to walk away from, but like he said
true,
in the post that he put on Facebook, and you got to maybe put that on our website because it's a really nice, not a nice post, but he talks about why he did it.
Right.
And basically he said, at the end of the day, money is not everything. Sometimes integrity is what's important. Sometimes believing in what I believe in is what's most important. And I'm not going to let no one tell me as an artist what I can and cannot say. He's like, I'm a comedian. How you going to tell me what I can and can't
totally
say?
Agree with that. Yeah, I totally agree with it. Absolutely.
So that's all I got right now wait.
Yeah.
I forgot.
What?
It's wintertime. I got to talk about my Ratchet TV.
Okay, go ahead.
Love and Hip Hop.
Man.
New York.
Man.
Reunion.
Yo, that aired Tuesday.
Part 1.
Just this past week. This past Tuesday it aired. Wow.
Part 1 aired on Monday. Part 1. OMG. I got
ratchet,
all
bro.
of my ratchetness for the season in that one show. And that was only part 1.
They were going at it, man.
There was at least 4 fights. At least 4 fights.
Oh man, they were going at it, man.
Everybody and their mama, and I do literally mean their mama, was
mama.
calling somebody a B word.
The mamas was fighting too. It was crazy, man. It was like crazy.
It was
moms was fighting. Sisters was coming out of the audience talking about you ain't gonna mess with my sister. It was crazy, man.
Yo, it was a beautiful thing. And I will be front and center Monday.
No doubt.
Next Monday.
No
to see
doubt.
part
Actually,
2.
yeah. I said it came on Tuesday, this past Tuesday. It came on this past Monday. I apologize. It came on this past Monday. Coming on next Monday and the Monday after that. So I think it's like 3 different episodes. So we're going to be glued to that TV. Believe it.
So anyway, that's enough of my word on the street and my ratchetness.
All right. Let's get into this show. Here. Today's episode. How can I be a good wife when I wasn't trained to be? And like I said, this was sparked from an interview we were listening to, Reverend Run and
my baby daddy. How you gonna pause?
Reverend Run
and forget his name.
Reverend Run. I didn't forget his name. Reverend Run and Tyrese. They were talking about wives and how can you expect a woman to be a good wife if she was never trained. So let's get into that. Now, I have a good wife. We all know that. We all know I got a good wife. I'm a lucky man. Queen V, were you trained?
So let me just say this. First of all, I think we need to talk about some clarity about as far as what Tyrese meant by that, right?
Okay.
AKA my baby
Let's
daddy.
play the clip first.
Okay, let's do that.
All right, here's the clip. This is what he said.
I, at 37 years, this is real as it gets. At 37 years old, I have never consistently been around a married man as much as I have Rev. Right. Ever in my life. So technically speaking, everything prior to now, I was about to sign up for some shit that I don't know nothing about.
Okay.
Okay? What is your point of reference to what a marriage is? Mm-hmm. How can I naturally know how to be something I was never raised by? You don't know what a wife is because you've never had the blueprint, a point of reference of what a wife is. In your mind, a wife is just getting a ring. That's not a wife. Are you ready to mentally, spiritually, emotionally, sexually hold your man down? Or is it just about getting a ring and being able to say, I's married now? This is not the color purple.
So, I wasn't. I grew up in a single home, not a single home. I grew up in a single parent home. So I didn't necessarily have a marriage in my home, nor a marriage that I really, when I think about it, around me that I could figure out what, you know, or be trained on what a wife is supposed to do and what a husband is supposed to do, right?
Right.
Because I think that's, you know, kind of like what he's saying. So I wasn't really trained in that aspect. But my mother did train me, or not train me, but raised me to have certain standards when it came to myself, and have certain standards when it came to what I was looking for in a mate, and what I was to accept and what I was not to accept.
Okay.
So, she would provide me definitely with, not suggestions, but examples of what not to do, what not to let yourself get into, and examples of, how to carry myself like a lady and how to treat people in general. And I think that if you know how to treat people in general, then,
All right.
you can bounce that off on your husband.
Okay. So here's my thoughts. Okay. I don't really think there's such thing as training. You observe as a child how your mom and your dad, if you had a mom and dad in the same household, you observe how your mom treated your dad and vice versa, how your dad treated your mom. And you get, in terms of your dad, how your dad treated your mom, from that you gain expectations of how you should be treated. Now, when we look at your mom and how she treated your dad, now you get the expectation of how you should conduct yourself as a wife. So, do you agree with that?
I do agree with that, but I think that, when he's talking about training, it's not necessarily literally training.
Right.
It's more so that a lot of us are growing up in these broken families. A lot of us are growing up with people around us, our aunts and uncles that aren't even married. So how do we know what a good marriage is supposed to be like? How do we know what a wife is supposed to do for her husband and how she's supposed to treat her husband if she has no examples around her?
Okay. All right. Well, that's a good point. And I don't even have an answer for that, because if you don't know, then you don't know. So you don't know how you're supposed to act. You don't know how you're supposed to react and what to say and what not to say. And I mean, I guess we can assume that as a grown woman or a woman, you go through life experiences, and your friends go through some things, and you gain knowledge of how you should treat your husband and vice versa. So just because they didn't have a father in the home, or a father and mom in the home, it still doesn't exclude them or excuse them for not knowing how to treat a husband, because we watch TV shows, and even though some of it's reality, not reality, it's just acting or reality, and reality shows, we get an idea of how to treat a husband or significant other. But
think about this. Yeah, you have television, right? I wouldn't take no examples from half of this reality TV, because I just wouldn't. But we watch TV and you have loving families on television, right?
Correct.
But think about, as a female, your idol, the person that you look to imitate, is your mother, your grandmother, an aunt. It's not someone on television. So if you got a mom, right, that is constantly belittling your father, that is, they're not together, right? Say they're not together. Say they're divorced, or they never got married, or whatever the case may be, right?
Okay.
But she's constantly, just like what we talked about on the last podcast, this whole baby mama stuff. If you got a mom who's constantly doing dirt to your father, that is what you grow up believing is what you're supposed to do.
That's right.
It don't make no difference what you see on television. If your mama doing that, your aunties are doing that, your grandmamas are doing that, that is what you believe you were supposed to do. There was a movie that we watched a couple of months ago, and I don't know if you remember it, but basically the girl was getting beat up, and that when she would go back to her mother would pretty much tell her, that's just a part of life, baby.
I remember that movie. I don't remember the name of it, but I do remember the movie.
That really struck me, because that is how we are. We are a We are a byproduct.
Conditioned.
We are a byproduct of what our mothers and our aunts and our grandparents do. So if they grew up thinking, okay, it's okay for a man to beat you, and you go to your mom and tell me something, this man is beating on me, what do I do? And she put you back in the den with the lion.
Yeah.
Then you think that that's what you're supposed to do.
That's true.
If your mama and your grandmamas are always dogging the boy, the baby daddy, always putting them down, always belittling someone because he ain't got no job, and then you grow up thinking as a wife that it is okay to belittle your husband.
Absolutely.
Because that's what you've been around. That's just my 2 cents.
It makes sense.
And I'm not just agreeing with him because
because that's your
that's my
your
baby
husband,
daddy.
your real husband. See, now is she treating me right now? Claiming some other dude on this podcast, just going live with it too.
No comment.
Who taught you that?
Nobody. I'm just
All right.
trifling.
Yeah, I went to Facebook. She is trifling. We went to Facebook to get some of your answers and some of your responses. So, in terms of what it takes to be a good wife, Tasha said respect for your spouse when he's with you and when he's not with you. Linnea said patience and trust and understanding, respect. She said a couple of them. Tanya said knowing God. Good one. You go through the struggles together, you pray together. My man Muhammad, he said keeping it 100, both of them. Well, yeah, that's true. Let's see what else we got here. We got a couple that said loyalty and trust and respect. Okay, keeping God first. And Rhonda, she said a good husband. A good wife is a good husband. Okay.
I agree.
We got one more. My cuz here, she said, she referred us to a scripture, Proverbs 31, 10 through 31. All right. So that's what Facebook is saying. But I got my own things that I want to talk about. And one of them that is very important to me, I think, not me personally, but I found this one, I found this to be a good one. And it says, stop expecting your husband to fail as other males have failed you. In terms of maybe you may have seen your dad fail you. You may have seen your dad fail at being a husband. So your mom might have, not treated him as good as she should have. So that's one of them. I think that's a good one. Actually seeing how her mom treated her dad. And we talked about that, but I think that's a good one on that list. What do you think?
I'm with you.
Okay. All right. Well, that's it. You just, oh, wow. No, except, but, or.
I mean, at the end of the day, I do think that there is some training involved. There is some work that has to be put in, to be a good wife.
Okay.
So I think, seeing someone that's failed you and not bringing that into a relationship, I think that's the case always. But does that make you a good wife? Okay. Just because you're not holding them accountable to what other people have done doesn't mean you're a good wife.
Right.
There's so many other components to being a good wife.
And I got one of them right here. And let me give you this pen. Here you go. I'm going to give you a pen. Catch this pen.
What the hell I need a pen for?
Because I want you to write this one down. This is a good one.
Writing shit down.
Why you got to curse? We almost had a podcast where we wouldn't curse. But
I'm
you
sorry.
have to say that.
I ain't writing sugar, honey, iced tea down.
Are y'all
I
ready
don't
for
need
this
no
one?
lessons. I'm good. Go ahead. What is it?
All right, here we go. You ready?
I'm ready.
Don't act like your husband is a mind reader. If something is wrong, tell them. That would be the best practice.
Now, let me make sure let's make sure that we on the same. No. Let's make sure that we on the same page. Is this a bash females?
No.
Podcast?
No.
Or is this about being a good wife?
Not at all. Good wife. This is seriously about being a good wife. I think if you want to be a good wife, you should speak up. And it's a little bit to the left. I get it. I get what you're saying. But that's just one of the things that
So what do you mean? So what do you mean by not be a mind reader?
Well, don't
if you truly know me as a good husband, you should already know what I'm thinking and what I need.
That's not always the case, though. So you can't, even in situations where he couldn't possibly know what it was, even though he knows you in and out, because it could be something that you just happen to be pissed off that day about. And usually don't
But he
get pissed
should at
off
least
about
know
it.
that I'm pissed.
Well,
He should at least be able to pick up on no signs.
Okay, so if he knows that you're pissed, why not tell him? Why not say, hey, look, I'm very upset about because this and this and this. Why not tell him? Why does he have to come over there and be like, well, what's wrong? I noticed that you this and that. Just come out and tell him. Why not do that?
Well, first of all, I do.
I'm not talking about you. I'm talking about in general.
Okay, so what you're saying is, so let's get us a list running. We're gonna get Dre's list. So we got Facebook's list. We're gonna get Dre's list. Number 1, you want to be a good wife, you need to make sure your husband know. You need to make sure you understand that your husband is not a mind reader.
Right.
I'm gonna counteract that and say that if you a good husband, no, you shouldn't have to read my mind or no, you shouldn't read my mind, but you should be able to pick up on signs when something is off, when I'm happy, when I'm sad, when I'm angry, when I'm mad. You should be able to read my vibe.
Okay. Next one. Allow the husband to take the lead. That's very important. Allow the husband to take the lead on that, on certain things. And that's kind of like our episode 6 podcast. It's different though. Submissive wife. So that's a little different, but it's kind of related a little bit. Just allow the husband to take the lead on certain things. Don't jump in and take over. Let a man be a man. Do you agree with that?
So I do agree.
Good.
That,
Next one. Shut the heck up. Damn it. Go ahead. Tell me. Go ahead.
I'm gonna let you lead.
No. Seriously, go ahead.
No, so I do agree. I think that we, as women, we should allow men to be men. I think that that's part of the problem, right? I think that that's part of the problem with some of these men out here being trifling.
Okay.
Because you have, well, it's a whole nother story for a whole nother day. But one, you got women raising boys.
Okay.
They can't help it. The men in around, you got to do what you got to do. I get it. But you coddling these men, and then they end up with women who don't want to let them take charge and be in charge. And at the end of the day, I am one to say, even though I'm, I think that, I scream Miss Independent like everybody else. At the end of the day, I think if you are going to be in a marriage, there has to be a lead. There has to be someone that's going to lead. And I think that lead should be a man.
Okay. So you agree with that?
I do.
Okay.
Now, I don't think it should be to the point where, like we talked about in that one episode, where women should be submissive to the point where they allow the man to take over.
I agree. Yep.
Even though the man is leading, I think that the man should also allow the woman to have a voice.
Absolutely.
She should be able to give her opinion.
Absolutely.
Now, you might make the last say, you might have the last say, but at least hear me out.
Got you. I totally agree with that. And this
so
one,
then you need to do it more often.
What? Me?
Hear me out.
Who me? Me?
I'm joking, but I loved how you just started right now. Who me?
Damn, you threw me off on that one. All right. This is a good one, okay? Don't make your husband earn your respect. Just have it naturally.
Respect is earned. Period.
Well, here's the thing. If you get to the point where you married the person, the respect should already be there. Do you agree?
But you can lose respect. Respect is earned. So I kind of agree with what you're saying, but I don't, because respect is earned. So yeah, I think if you're marrying someone, you should have respect for that individual. True. But if that individual screws up and you've lost trust and respect for them, then that's on their part to earn that back. Respect is earned, period.
I'm meaning from the onset of the marriage.
Okay, what you talking about
In
being
general.
a good
Not
wife?
so much losing
and
it.
good wife, you telling me that I need to just give you respect. you don't need to earn my respect.
That should be earned.
I'm not
way
gonna
before
cuss
y'all
on this
get married.
podcast because you told me not to.
But that's some sugar honey iced tea, ain't it? I know you so well. See, I know my wife.
But that's some sugar honey iced tea right there.
all right.
Respect is earned.
Gotcha,
Period.
okay. But I was talking more about if they haven't done anything wrong. Just just have that respect naturally. This is a good one here. Let's see. Never use sex to bargain with your husband. Silence. Quiet on the set.
but why does that make me a bad wife?
Because that's biblical. You don't look. If you're husband and wife, sex is part of the marriage.
Oh, I thought you meant don't give him sex because you want like a new pair of shoes. You talking about don't hold it against him?
Don't deny him of it.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Like,
I'm not your typical woman, so you know where my mind go. I'm thinking.
Yeah, I know all about your mind. I know all about it.
Thinking, don't, Okay, so you're saying don't deny.
Right. Go ahead. You look like you want to say something. Go ahead.
Okay.
That's it? Wow.
But
I'm taming you tonight.
But if the man is not picking up his portion of the responsibilities and load, and that woman is tired, she not allowed to say no?
I would guess so. I'm talking about when I say these things, I mean not if you have good enough reason not to do so. I mean more like if he's doing everything, this from the perspective of a man's just doing everything that he's supposed to be doing, and you just denying him straight out, using it as a bargain tool. Okay, so
you're talking about how to be a good wife to a good husband.
Yes, absolutely.
Let's clear that up.
That absolutely.
Because I'm thinking about all them trifling men out there.
That's that negative
and
stuff.
I'm like,
you went to the right. You're supposed to stay.
Told you I wasn't
to the left.
trained. I'm just saying.
So I got two more quick ones. Two more.
All right.
Put your husband first before your friends. The trust, believing him. If he say he didn't do it, if he hasn't given you a reason not to trust him, and not even just a trust thing, but just like putting your husband first, and that could be anything, just spending more time with your husband and not with your friends. But I think that should be reversed. I think husbands should take advantage of that one more because a lot of men go out. We go out, I know a lot of my friends, they're good fathers, they don't go out as much, but I do know some of my friends who are not married, and maybe one or two that are married, they go out constantly. So, and they got kids at home, and they go out more than they're with their family. So, and I've never hung out with them in terms of a family, like a family hangout or anything like that, because we're not that close. It's not anybody in Jersey. He lives in Delaware, and it ain't my frat brother or nothing like that. It's a guy that I met at my job.
Why do you even need to say all that?
I'm just saying that because I don't want people to think
you scare somebody.
No,
I don't want somebody's business on Front Street.
I don't want people.
Y'all know it's somebody from Jersey.
No.
Y'all know it's a frat brother.
No,
y'all know he lying, right?
No, whatever. Me and that dude ain't even that cool like that. But I'm still not gonna put him out there. But I don't want my friends in Jersey thinking that I'm talking about them. Never would do that.
If they ain't doing
but
dirt,
anyway, let's get back on task.
Them.
So I think the one about putting your husband first, that could be reversed, and husbands need to put their wives first when it comes to to going out and spending more time out in the bar than with your family.
Let me ask you a question.
Make it quick.
So what you're saying is that as a good wife,
Make it quick.
I should be spending more time with you.
Well, I take that one back. I think it should be reversed. I don't,
No, I mean, because there's a lot of women that spend a lot of time outside of the home. I mean, I'm a social butterfly. I'm gone all the time. I think it should
be both ways.
But it needs to be. I think everything needs to be a healthy balance.
I agree.
As women, we need our girlfriends.
Oh, of course.
Men don't need their guy friends like women need our girlfriends.
I agree.
So
you're going to the extreme again.
No, I'm not going to extreme. I just want you men, as we talk about what it takes to be a good wife, I want for you men to also understand what our needs are as a woman. It's not that we don't want to spend time with you. It's just that we do need to spend that time and that quality time with our girlfriends. They keep us going so that we can be a good wife for you.
Okay. All right. Last one. Don't have unachievable expectations of your husband. He can't do everything. You got to understand that. Can't do everything. Not even me. And
I already know that.
I can take my shirt off right now and you'll see this big S on my chest. You know what I'm saying? I'm like a super dad, like I'm a super husband, and I don't want to brag or anything like that, but I'm great to my wife. I'm great to my kids. Why are you looking at me like that? But even I can't do everything. Even I can't do everything.
Really?
People gonna believe you.
I'm just listening.
Whatever. Anyway. So what do you think? Was I on point today or what? Give me your final thoughts. Give me your final thoughts.
I think that, at the end of the day, I do think that there is some, I'm not going to say training, but we do need examples of good, loving relationships around us. Absolutely. So that we do know what to do, what not to do. I also think at the end of the day, if you are in a relationship and a marriage with someone that is your friend, even if you haven't had the training, right, of how to be a good wife, if you're in a relationship with your friend, you're going to do whatever it is you need to do to keep that friend and that lover happy.
All right.
So, I think at the end of the day, that's being friends with someone first, having a good friendship, having God in the middle of your relationship, definitely, and having that respect and trust is going to help. And I do think, like what you said, putting your husband first is very important.
Right.
So I just think that at the end of the day, every relationship is different. Every marriage is different. For some, the woman is at home. For others, the woman is the breadwinner and the man is at home. But at the end of the day, you just have to be respectful. And, I think your list was a good list.
Oh, wow. I'm getting credit from Queen V. My list.
For once, a list that was useful.
Yes. I need to celebrate. Wow. You want my final thoughts? My final thoughts.
Do I have a choice?
Yeah, whatever. It's not much. Same thing what Queen V said. I think on both sides, now this is both sides, I think a husband and a wife, they need to be understanding. They need to have patience. And most of all is having God in your life. But one of the good things and good qualities that they should have, both of them, is being professional forgivers. Just forgiving and, just forgiving for the things that people, that your spouse does to you,
That's interesting.
Not to say that it's easy, I mean, it's hard to forgive sometimes for people, but we all human. So just work toward being more of a professional forgiver than just going at it or whatever. And that's my final thoughts.
I find that very interesting. A professional forgiver.
I got that from somebody.
That's interesting. Why in a relationship that's built on mutual trust and respect should I become a professional forgiver? If we're building a relationship on trust and respect, you shouldn't be doing so much that I have to become professional at forgiving.
It doesn't. When I say professional giver, I mean just being someone who can forgive, not somebody who can be forgiving every day or anything like that. Just being in the habit of one who can forgive.
Okay. Well, I think you should say it like that, because when you say professional, that means that's something that you've worked on, that's something that you're doing on a daily basis. And I'm not saying that there might be times where you have to forgive on a daily basis, but I'm not trying to be in no relationship where I'm having to constantly forgive you because you done broke my heart and you done some sugar honey iced tea to me that you shouldn't have done.
Okay.
I ain't trying to be no professional forgiver. I'm a very forgiving person, but I ain't trying to be no professional.
All right. So that was my final thought. That's another podcast. I guess we can get into that one on another podcast. But you know, Queen V is not going to let me give my final thoughts and then we're going to move on. So I think next time I will give my final thoughts first. And then
that's all good. That's all good. I just wanted to give my 2 cents about
so
my
that way
professional.
when you jump in,
we just talked.
Not your 2 cents, your dollar. When you put your dollar in, you can keep on going with it.
Listen, this is a dialogue between two people. So understanding that you giving your final thoughts, and I waited till you were done with your final thoughts. I just wanted to have a friendly, remark to your final thought.
Thank you.
I ain't gonna be no professional forgiver.
Okay, well, thank you. Anyway. Well, that'll be the end of the show. We don't have a guest. So again, it's just me and Queen V doing our thing. We will now get
We need to get a guest.
We will.
Because I'm about ready to black your eye.
Anyway, y'all heard that. She's threatening me. Now she's threatening me.
Because I don't like these little comments that you be making about me.
Shots fired?
Yeah, I would be appreciating.
Yo, I'm not shooting.
Now maybe I'll give my final thought first, and she want to be. Man, dude, seriously?
No, I'm those are not shots fired. I'm just keeping it 100.
Whatever.
Anyway, wait till you hear this Stu Nod of the Week, Queen V. This week's Stu Nod of the Week is Jonathan Cartwright. Let me tell you what this Bama did. This fool goes to church to get a blessing. I guess he sits in front of a lady with the big hat, a grandmother who was actually 82 years old, sits in front of her, and then he shoots her because the hat was in the way. And and this is a quote from him. Big ass hat was blocking my blessings. So for that, Jonathan, you are the Stu Nod of the Week. You're a fool.
Is the woman alive?
Yes.
Okay, good. All
yes.
Right. Just making sure.
Yeah.
Because that wouldn't have been funny.
That's the Stu Nod of the Week. You would have been stupid. Dead or alive, that's the Stu Noddiest move.
That's messed
up. That has
up.
nothing to do if she survived or if she died. It's
because
a Stu
that's somebody's grandmama.
I know that,
that's
but
dead.
I'm not saying that about the grandmother. I'm dead serious. When I say you Stu Nod of the Week, if you kill somebody, that doesn't reflect on the grandmother. He is Stu Nod of the Week for taking a life or trying to take a life. It has nothing to do with my condolences to the 82-year-old grandmother and their families and her family rather. But this guy it's just him. I'm eyeing in on him. He is Stu Nod of the Week. Yes, he is. You don't do that. Who brings a gun to church? You oh man, let's
He living that life. Listen, the
said,
doors are open for everyone from every walk of life.
And I don't have a problem with that.
Can you stop pointing at me?
No, I don't have a problem with that.
Damn figure out my face.
I'm not saying that everybody ain't welcome. Just don't bring a gun there. So that, I can understand.
I mean, if he's living that lifestyle, he's a thug.
No,
if he's a gangbanger.
Even thugs they know better than that. Come on, man. You don't bring a gun to church.
So you thinking ain't nobody up in the church with no guns?
Why
you think they got metal detectors at the doors?
If they are, give me their names and I will make them Stu Nod of the Week next week.
There's metal detectors in churches. There's security in churches.
On my nerves now.
You sitting here thinking that there ain't no guns and knives and shit up in the church.
You put church and SHIT all in the same thing. Queen V, that's my Stu Nod of the Week, y'all. We're going to now have Queen V's words of wisdom.
So I read a quote once that said, the real act of marriage takes place in the heart, not in the ballroom or church or synagogue. It's a choice you make, not just on your wedding day, but over and over again. And that choice is reflected in the way you treat your spouse. At the end of the day, everyone's marriage is different. No two relationships are the same. Everyone is raised differently, and therefore we're going to treat our spouses differently because of the ways we were raised. But at the end of the day, you have a choice to make sure that you're treating your spouse with respect, with love, that you're putting them first, that you're valuing their opinions, and that you have a friendship with them. And that, you know, there's that higher being, whoever you worship. For me, it's my Lord and Jesus Christ. But, you know, whoever it is that you worship, that you're putting them at the head of your relationship. And every day you get up and you do that again. Every day you choose to love your spouse and to treat them with respect. And I think if you do that, you're on your way to being a great wife, great husband.
All right. And there you have it. Queen V's Words of Wisdom. We'd like to thank you for tuning in to episode 22. If you need to catch up on any episodes of In the Lounge with Dre and V, you can go to weinthelounge.com/episodes. That will do it for this week. And like we always say, we are out of here. Peace. Peace.